Hi, Crofton. All right, and we're gonna pick a topic at random. They explain to you what the deal is. Crofton, Mike, be sure to behave and let our guests speak. I know you will.
Oh.
You're already
And you,
familiar
Bo,
with
be
how
sure to actually
domineering
say
they can be.
something.
But
Don't
let
be
me
so polite you say nothing the whole time.
let me tell you, Crofton and Mike they thought that they were going to be pretty rude. Not like rude to you when we were on Sleeping with the Elephant, but just hog all the airtime. But you held your own pretty effectively.
Nah,
So
that was such a fun show. We need to do that again. That's what I'm saying. When I come up, we'll do a live podcast. I'll bring my
that's kinda
record.
Cool. Though we
Oh,
still
sweet.
haven't done that, and we all live in the same city.
You all live in the same city. How many episodes have you done?
I don't know how to
We'll
do
an episode.
it. Basically,
We
I
don't
set
know.
I set everything up. It kind of works, except it's not working now. But
Look how much problems
and
we're
there you
having
go.
now.
All
I
right,
have a
let's
portable recorder. I'll charge it. I'll bring it. We'll put it in the middle
Hey,
of the
cool.
table. We will record a podcast.
That'll be a milestone.
incredible.
And you know what?
Wow.
It doesn't matter. One episode live sounds a little funky. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's podcasting. Tell
Yeah.
your
Really?
Tell your
We could
children.
have done this? Man.
well, you're
With
in
the
charge
internet,
of, you're in
you
charge
guys are
of
probably. It's probably faster to talk over the internet for you guys as opposed to in real
Crofton's
life.
like living so in the present, he didn't realize there's such a thing as being in the same room as people and recording
No,
something.
no, it's
All right, enough of that.
This
Enough
gave
of
us
that.
audio
All
Didn't they
right.
use
Job.
Skype
I'm
back
putting
in the
the-
1930s?
Damn it,
He's
I
in
can't play
communications.
sounds to
He knows
shut
how
you
to
guys up.
communicate.
There you go. All right.
Okay.
Good, bad, or bullshit episode 170. Wow, that's a lot. I got to arm this for recording.
You sound quiet, Bo.
Yeah, you sound
Oh,
quiet.
come on. Don't tell
It's
me
my
stuff
intro.
like that. Oh, you're introing? Do you know what podcast that Ryan does when you introduce?
Yes, I do. Believe it or not, I guessed it on one of them one
Oh,
time.
you guessed it. This is going to be interesting. All right, you can do the intro. All right. Yeah, I think I'm coming in loud on the meters this end. So if I'm quiet on your end, let me see if I turn up the Skype thing. Wow, can I prolong this any longer? I'm sorry. Ryan's never coming back, guys.
No, it's fine.
All
This is
right.
fine. And he goes to bed. Caden goes to bed at 8, and I'm just free.
All right, good, bad, or
He's gone.
bullshit. All right. Good, bad, or bullshit. Episode 170 starts now in 5, 4.
Hello, welcome to Good, Bad, or Bullshit. My name is Crofton Steers. I am the Mr. Fantastic of this podcast. Glad that you could join us. With me, as always, are the other members of the Fantastic Four. I'm talking about the Invisible Woman, Michael Hodgins. Welcome, Michael.
You can't see me.
Nice, thank you, John Cena. And also, of course, the rage-induced but extremely wise rock monster, the Thing. I'm talking about Bo Schwartz. Welcome, Bo.
Me want rock sandwich. Grr.
I'll allow it.
Things.
And finally, the fourth member of the Fantastic Four, we have with us a very special guest. I'm talking about a local podcasting legend. That's right. He has not one, but two shows, The Gamer's Inn and Sleeping with the Elephant, both available on iTunes or a podcasting listening thing of your choice. I'm talking about the Human Torch, Ryan Murphy. Welcome, Ryan.
I can't help but address the fact. A couple things. One, does the Thing actually eat rocks?
I don't know.
Is that canon?
I don't know.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. I think Bo ad-libbed completely, and he mixed him with the Hulk a little bit too there.
Well, he kind of sounds gravelly, but I think that wouldn't that be cannibalism if he ate rocks? I think that would be cannibalism.
I think it would be too.
I
Yeah.
like also how he is clearly made of rocks. And they're like, what should we call him? Thing. He's a thing. It's like, why not Rock Man? You know?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, Mega Man in Japan took that, or was it Rockman? No, I can't
It just feels like Stan Lee in the 60s was running out of juice at that point. That was right before he invented the mutants and was like, you know what? They're just born that way. When he quit coming out with superpowers and radioactive accidents, he's
Yeah.
like, okay, this guy fell into gamma rays. This guy, I'm out of ideas. You know what? They're born like that. And that guy's called the Thing.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you. This is fantastic. And now another question I have though
Okay.
is, are we like Fantastic Four, like current reboot, or are we Fantastic Four, like Chris Evans, or are we Fantastic Four like that '90s film that no one watched? That's the
90s film, the Roger Corman version. That's the one we
Yeah.
are.
That's
That
what
one.
we are. So basically, Bo is just a giant foam machine. He's just
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Wait,
just like
I'm
wearing
pretty sure
wearing
we're the
rocks
version-
painted, like a bad cosplay costume.
I'm pretty sure we're the version from Arrested Development, actually.
Is there a Fantastic Four from Arrested Development?
Yeah, remember that? What's his? The girlfriend was in a Fantastic Four. Tobias like makes like a new girlfriend, right? In the fourth
I have to
season,
watch
and
that
she
series
was
again,
in.
evidently.
Is this the Netflix seasons that
Yes.
everybody's only watched once and then forgot existed?
They were good.
Oh,
Alright.
was the Netflix? Okay.
Anyways,
then
that's the Fantastic Four we are. It's that
Okay.
level. Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
So
Anything's better than the reboot.
So Ryan, to provide context,
Mhm.
when each one of us introduces the show, we have maybe our gimmick. My gimmick is to attach one of us to some sort of pop culture thing. Normally, I go with threesomes in a PG way, groups of three
Okay.
people. But in this case,
He
I had to,
parentally guides people through threesome.
I think the porn industry has ruined any sort of threesome, foursome.
know,
You can't
it's
use
true.
it anymore without it
I-
sounding bad.
I searched to prep for this. I searched greatest foursomes of all time on the internet. on Google.
Spend 5 hours looking at sites.
The results were not good.
You could have just done the Fab Four. That's an easy one.
Your
Oh,
safe
the
search was
Beatles.
off,
The
probably.
Beatles. Oh, I could have done the Beatles.
You could have done the Beatles. Next time you have a guest on, you can do the Beatles and make sure it's a British person that you have on.
Yeah, because
Who
I
has to
used
be-
the
who has to be Ringo,
Ghostbusters
though?
once. Huh?
Let's face it, he's the best.
Yeah, Ringo's pretty good.
Ringo's the best.
He's
Bo
the most
would-
number 1 hits after the Beatles broke up.
Bo would be Ringo. You would be John Lennon, Mike. I'm
That's
Paul
true.
McCartney.
Just give peace a
and
chance,
Ryan,
people.
You'd be George Harrison in this context.
Who's George Harrison?
Ryan Murphy.
The problem with this foursome
was
of
Ringo.
the Beatles is that no one's a punchline in this. That's the issue.
Yeah, they're
Ringo.
all really good.
Well, but
Ringo
Ringo is not a
See,
punchline.
Crofton
He's
got to
solid,
call
man.
Mike the Invisible Woman, and he got to call me Thing. Meanwhile, praising our host by giving him the Human Torch, which Crofton would have taken if he weren't here because it is the
Yeah.
coolest. But
It
he
is kind of
didn't
the
forget
coolest one.
himself and made himself leader. The reason it took 5 hours was to find the perfect foursome that had 2 slams in it and 2 compliments. So
I
Yeah,
mean,
you
it's-
could.
I know Crofton.
it takes a lot of work, Bo.
All right. Well, speaking of a lot of work, it takes a lot of
So,
work to find a
What
random
Bo's
topic,
trying to
doesn't
do
it?
here, Ryan, I'll just explain. It's like he's trying to step in and host and do a segue, but
Oh.
they're so horrible that I have to then come in and save the bit. So
What's a
essen-
segue? Explain what's a segue. It's a thing you
It's-
write on, right?
Well, technically, or it's a turn of phrase that allows us to move towards the random topic generator, where we pull a random topic and discuss it on the show. So, for instance, Bo might be like,
He knows
I
how it
was-
works, Crofton.
What?
He
Give
knows
me
how the
something,
show
and I will
works.
say something, and I will make it a segue.
Crofton is really stupid.
Whoa. This is one of the worst ones ever, and we've had
Yeah.
some doozies.
Speaking of things that are really stupid, let's try using our old, antiquated piece of technology to determine a random topic and pull out a random topic once Mike starts the machine. Mike, over to you. What a segue.
That was rough, but but yeah, let's start the machine.
All right. Well, Mike, give it a pull. There it goes. It's going.
Whew. Phew. The topic today is cosmetics or makeup. They're lumped together.
Oh, we did this last week, a lumping of topics.
Well, oh yeah. So yeah, it even includes perfume. So we're just saying like cosmetic.
Okay.
Cosmetic. So male and female too, like cologne and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
of course. I think of Bo is probably our local expert on a guy who has like drenched himself in Axe body spray for most of as long as I've known him, all down his shirt. It's everywhere,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
a cosmetic product. It's a perfume for men, a scent for men, but they wouldn't call it a perfume, right? It'd be like
A
an
cologne.
aggressive scent, musk.
It's a spray.
Well, okay.
You're-
I'd like
yeah.
to point out. Well, there's kind of a. Okay, we're talking about cosmetics, so.
Yeah, it's a cosmetic product.
So scent is involved, visual
Scent and makeup.
enhancements are involved, even though I'm sure to people who are well invested in this might say that there is a distinction between the two.
What about deodorant?
Because, well, that's what I'm saying.
You might call that a hygiene product.
Yeah, definitely more of a hygiene thing, and I think that you're right. Like there is a difference between cosmetic and makeup, but then there are things that you can kind of like push off the list. But that's if you're trying to be negative. Like if we're trying to be negative about cosmetics and makeup, and we say, well, let's not include the necessities like Axe body spray and cologne.
Necessities, like
I don't know, like cologne I would think is a cosmetic, but some people like slather it on, so it's almost like it's only a cosmetic if they're using it in a negative connotation. If they're just wearing it to smell a little nice.
All
No,
right.
I guess that would be
no.
cosmetic.
Let's settle it here.
Just-
Cosmetics are for appearances, which include
Mhm.
fragrance and visual appearance. And I totally didn't just quickly Google search to
Google
answer
it.
my question. That came off the
There
top of my head. It was quite impressive.
I used to work for a health back when I was employed, Health Canada, and there was this like consumer product safety branch that I worked with, and it was called the Cosmetics Hot List, which is essentially a list of toxic chemicals that may appear in cosmetics, and then they may or may not take action to ban them. But I just think of it as interesting is that people slather themselves in these things that have all kinds of known carcinogens, and we're hoping that the government for the most part will say like, yeah, you can't put that in it, but again, it's cosmetic in the sense that like it really is there. I mean, cosmetic is self-explanatory. It's a cosmetic thing. It's not like it's not medicine. You don't need it to live. It doesn't sustain you. It's there to make you appear different. I mean, and some would say better, to enhance your appearance, and to enhance how you appear to someone might include a pleasing fragrance as you enter the room.
So is this a scent-free podcast? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah,
No.
until the internet figures out the
Wait.
smell-o-vision thing.
So, and then this whole place would smell like Axe.
Axe.
Are you all Axe? Is that what I'm?
No.
Is this
I'm
episode
not
sponsored by Axe?
They're trying to make fun of me by saying that I put so much on because it might have done that a couple of times in my younger days.
Do you like fly out the bathroom door like with your shirt off and do the X in the middle of the air and do like a rock on extreme? Because that's what I assume.
No, I
Everybody
do
does.
more like a squirt in the neck here, squirt in the neck here, a quick paintbrush like a Jackson Pollock on the chest.
Draw an arrow.
Like, and then a little spray down my pants for good luck, and then
So do you
off I go.
you don't spray it in the air and do a little dance through it?
What's that?
You don't spray it in the air and do a little dance through it?
No. That's not my
Spread
ritual.
around.
My ritual is a like I said, 2 neck sprays, a Jackson Pollock on the chest, and a little crotch dab, and done.
like
But
perfume
I
and-
Seems like
use
it
it
would burn.
way
Oh.
less than I used to. It's only if there's like an important like function, like a team meeting of some kind, and literally no one's smelling my crotch, so I don't know why. I just feel like it's good luck to put a little dab in there.
I like how it's an important thing. So it's like Bo gets a visit with the Queen. He's like, okay, now it's time for the break out the axe. She expects it. On the crotch.
No,
Did you
not a
think
long
of
one.
it?
It's
You
a
never
little.
know what's gonna happen
It's
to
a little
fucking
dab,
Howard.
and it's not. I don't apply it directly to the appendage.
I get it.
Just
you spray.
It's important to put the pants on first, so that it traps the scent in there and just provides an environment of nice smell.
Yeah, and it would be worse if you were doing that with like a roll-on. Like if you were just like, okay,
think
a little
about-
here, a little here, a little here, and then just a little down.
One of these
And-
days, something's gonna happen where you might just see someone, and there might be passion, and you might want to just like boom, make love right there on the spot. I need to be ready for that. So you don't want to strip open your pants and smell like a wet diaper or something in there. You want it to
Depends on how
smell
you've been walking
inviting.
around that day, right?
So-
You want to make sure you're fresh.
So like
So-
it's meant to ferment over the course of the day into a nice.
I
pants
got to
smell.
redirect before I vomit.
Yes, please
but-
do.
So here's the thing. Odors and scents, like before we get into all of cosmetics, just talking about this, like I work in an office and we receive notices all the time about please be sensitive when applying sprays and scents and all that sort of thing, because people have a tremendous amount of sensitivities. My wife, in fact, has a lot of these sensitivities as well. And if you ever go to a store like Sears or whatever, the Bay, like a big shopping center, generally the main floor often has the perfumes section, and I walk through that, and I don't even know what the idea is. Like, let's put all the different smells in one room and see which one comes out on top. Like, I pretty much immediately get a headache, and I'm not that sensitive to smells. I don't really understand. Like, I understand deodorant because like you want to conceal smells to a certain extent, but like these high potency perfumes, often for a long time tested even on animals and stuff, like I don't get why you would wear, like I don't get why you'd wear these things. I like Bo's making some argument, but I just see, like, if I put myself in a woman's shoes and I was like, oh, okay, you know, I like this guy, but he smells really, really strongly like this Axe body spray. That makes me more attracted to him. Like, less, I would feel.
Well, I mean, to be devil's advocate here a bit, like, I've definitely smelled some perfumes on women that are appealing smells that I would never place anywhere else. Like, I think of things like, not even being attracted to them or not, but like when I was a kid, my friend's mom wore a certain type of perfume. And if I get a whiff of that, I think of her. And it's not like anything. It's just that I now associate that scent with this person. And I can think of several other people I've known in my life where you're like, and you might not smell that thing again for years, and you smell it somewhere, someone's wearing the same perfume, and it triggers a memory. And I think that some people they become like, they have a certain perfume and that's what they wear. That's like becomes part of their essence, and then it maybe sticks in your memory a little bit. Like scents are very memory inducing. And there are some nice smelling perfumes. I mean, you smell them, not mixed with 100 other perfumes. I agree. That is just like, it's like mixing colors together. When you mix colors, all the colors together, you get brown. And it's the same with color, with scent. You mix it all together, you just get like, blah, that's the smell of brown.
It sounds like, you know, like someone yelling. It smells like someone yelling at you,
Yes.
basically. It's like, I don't understand where these scents are coming from, but I think, like, and it's tough, right? When it comes to, and I think the reason we're sticking to cologne, because it's the easiest one for four guys to discuss, I think. Like, we're not going to go out and talk about mascara. I mean, we'll get around to that, I'm sure. But when it comes to cologne and perfumes, you're absolutely right. Like, a little bit amount of a good scent is perfect, and it's a good accent to kind of like make sure people, when they meet you, it's not like they're going to be like, oh, you smell fantastic. It's more like, you don't smell like a pile of garbage, which, I mean, that's good. You kind of want to not smell like a pile of garbage.
Does anyone else want to share their cologne or scent rituals? Like, Ryan, I take it
I had enough
you're a
year
little...
and years. I don't need to
I
hear
know,
anymore.
I'm done. It's just, I want everyone else to have a turn on. Ryan, it sounds like you're a put a little on your hand kind of guy, and like that, you know?
No, I am a deodorant roll. Like, my dad would have the deodorant roll, and that was it. That's what I use. I just do a little bit on the armpits, and I'm the type of guy that doesn't like run smelly. So by the end of the day, like, I'm still good after just a little bit. Not that I'm saying you run smelly, but
Oh, I
No,
definitely
I'm
run
just-
smelly. That's what
He
you know.
does run smelly, but
okay.
I'm men's speed stick, same deal. Boom,
Yeah.
boom. That's it, and I don't run smelly either. So
now when I shave, then I smell. But I'm like, my facial hair doesn't grow fast enough where that adds to the scent. It's like maybe once a week where it's like, oh, Ryan, you shaved today, and I can smell it, and I think that adds to the scent as well. But I'm not like doing the perfume. I don't even wear cologne when I'm going somewhere fancy. I'm not a big fan of scents. I don't necessarily need to be in a scent-free environment, and I appreciate perfumes, but I'm not gonna go out and say, oh, I'm gonna put this on and do this, whatever that is. It looks like you're trying to like rub shackles off yourself. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's weird. I don't do the perfume.
Mike,
Yeah,
your
Mike,
ritual
what's
is
your,
nothing,
I
right?
nada. I do not use any products.
Wow.
he doesn't even use deodorant.
No, I used to, and it's like, but I found the less I've used them, the less I smell. I mean, if I'm outside doing some sweaty work all day and I'm sweating, yeah, I need a shower, and then I have one and clean myself with soap, and then I smell like a peach for quite a long time. But I'm not a sweaty person. Like, I have to be really doing something physical to start sweating. And my wife doesn't complain, so I feel like it's yeah, I don't need it. But I feel like when I used to use it, I felt like I needed it. And then it was like,
Well, let's examine that phenomena too, because the scent, it's not for your loved one. Like, it might be, but it isn't, because we all have a scent, and I think the more that you're in a relationship with someone, you get used to their smell and you get to like it. Even if it's kind of stinky, it's kind of them. And as Mike pointed out, you have those positive associations, so it becomes more of a positive smell than you think. I think for me, and I'd like to move into some of the other aspects of cosmetics, but for me, it's more about how am I going to feel about myself throughout the day. If I don't put deodorant on, I've got to make an impression throughout the day. I don't want to have anxiety that there's a problem. And yes, in the past, we used to go to the clubs on the weekend, Mike, and I used to overindulge, and that was out of pretty much insecurity. I probably didn't need to do that, but for the most part, in professional day-to-day life, I like to have that as an option to put something nice on, in order to, feel like I just don't have to worry about that throughout the day. That I'm covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you put your finger on something to kind of move into the other end of cosmetics. We're talking about makeup and all that stuff too. I think you probably put your finger on the how did you word it? It's how
Insecurity,
I
anxiety.
want to feel about myself all day. Because I think initially, my initial take on makeup, and most men, and this is kind of a weird topic for four guys to discuss, because generally makeup is something that men do use, but to a lesser extent, clearly, and it'd be like, oh yeah, we don't need makeup, blah blah blah, and my wife never puts makeup on, and she's beautiful, and on like once a year she might put it on, and I'll be like, whoa, who's this? But I don't think it's different, but I don't think of it as better. She's certainly not prettier or less pretty. Without makeup. I prefer without makeup, but that's again, it comes down to that whole thing. Like she doesn't want to put makeup on because she might feel like, hey, that's how I feel good all day, not wearing makeup. But there might be some other people that for whatever reason, they want to feel good about themselves all day, so they put on some makeup. Because like my knee jerk is to kind of crap on makeup, is to be like, you don't need that. You're a beautiful person. Have confidence in yourself. You don't need to put on slather on this toxic goo. It's not always toxic, but sometimes it's not great for you. But I don't want to put my own views on how someone else is feeling about themselves. It's a very personal thing. So I think you put your finger on it there a little bit.
Yeah. All right.
It's
well, with makeup, we're moving into makeup here. Anyone have any comments, Bo? You were like, okay, you just fake
well,
over.
all right. Well, let's hold off so that Crofton doesn't miss too much. Looks like Crofton just messaged me. His computer hard crashed, so
does that mean we're pausing in the podcast?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a little pause here because I know.
Okay, usually he joins back in quick, so I thought it would.
No, he said he got a reboot, so it's probably gonna take him a minute or two.
All right. Well, it was still a good segue.
We'll hold that thought.
Well, one of you guys needs to come in because I went on for a while. Crofton will pick it up quick enough.
All right,
Ryan, you're getting like the what do you call it? The warts episode where all the stuff goes wrong.
This is why we don't have a live stream.
I only do TGI live, and we try to do Zamp live, but we often don't.
I think the big issue, and we've discussed it on here too, because I've mainly wanted to do the video live stuff just to practice it and get more involved in it, but I think like the three of us were pretty big fans of the audio experience. Actually,
I don't listen. I just do audio podcasts.
There's a Freakonomics episode, and I haven't listened to it yet, but it looked like the abstract was they were doing MRI scans of people who listen to podcasts to study how it affects their brain. And I can't wait to listen because I'm hoping the findings will be like, you're a smarter person because you're activating parts of your brain by. I listen to podcasts every day, and I'd like to think that makes me smarter than other people already.
I mean, I'm sure it will because it's information and knowledge. But I tend to think of it like I've been listening to talk radio of various kinds for since I was 15.
Sure.
And it's like it's the same thing. So like I listen to CBC pretty much all day, CBC One, and it's like podcasts versus that stuff. Theirs is just a little bit more produced and a little bit more journalistic, but not always. Some of it's pretty light.
I always I find, and I don't know if you guys have done podcasts as a topic, but I always find when I tell people I listen to podcasts have sort of permeated a lot of like the more like the NPRs and the CBCs, and people are like, oh, I love podcasts. I listen to CBC and NPR all the time, and then I have to stop myself because it sounds so up my own butt about it when I say, oh, I only listen to the indie stuff, and it's like, damn it, Ryan, you sound terrible, because like I would consider Frog Pants. And a lot of the other shows I listen to, this one as well, like, it's kind of indie. It's not CBC, it's not NPR, but it's still like That's the beauty of podcasting, is that there's a good range.
Yeah, well,
of that
there's
stuff.
no major network. I mean, behind even Frog Bands. Like,
Well,
that's just
it's pretty. It is.
crowdfunded.
It is.
Yeah.
Crofton, we're on a bit of a pause, so but I just like to wrap up this sub conversation because it's actually kind of interesting. We did do podcasts, incidentally. I think we did it was like a meta episode a while ago.
Was it like good? You all went good, or else the show would have been canceled.
It was lumped in with talk radio, remember?
Yeah, we lumped it in with talk radio, which is what our same discussion is here right now. And there is a differentiating factor for sure. But what I'm noticing is that a lot of these like podcasts are trying to. I always think of the podcast as more casual, a little bit more on the fly, less produced, and the radio podcasts, like they call them podcasts, but I'm like, it's just talk radio, and they've just made it available on demand. That's all the radio talk podcast is. But anyways, I would encourage all of you guys to check out, since we're talking about this. There's a show on CBC called Spark, which is really interesting.
We're not live. You can't plug CBC to earn whatever money it is you're getting.
We're on pause right now.
All right.
Anyways, Spark is a really interesting show, and they were talking about the kind of the promise of the internet when it first evolved, talking about things like how we all thought it was going to be like self-publishing and the blogosphere and things like podcasting, and how that essentially has fallen essentially off. The promise of it has not come to fruition. It's very interesting, a very compelling kind of thing. And anyways, I would just say check it out. It's a really interesting show.
All right, I'm ready to resume. All right.
Okay, so I was just, I don't want brilliantly into
put my own
makeup
views on
and
how someone
Bo
else
or
is
Ryan
feeling
was going to respond. Moving into now the
Can you hear...
makeup component. This toxic goo. It's not always toxic, but sometimes it's not great for you. But I don't want to put makeup here. Anyone have any comments? Bo, you were like,
all right, we're transitioning to makeup. All right.
Okay.
Crofton, you have something to say on makeup? Or you want me to take it?
No, you should give it to Ryan or Bo.
I can talk about makeup if you want. Not that I wear it, but
yeah, we're gonna transition right to it. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, like on the topic of makeup, it's interesting because, like you, the only experience I have with makeup is my wife Ashley, who doesn't wear makeup, but will occasionally wear makeup for special events and weddings and the yada yada. Maybe like an important bit. Actually, I don't know. It's been. Anyways, I don't know a whole lot about makeup, but I know that she prefers not to wear it, and I'm in the same opinion. Like I think it looks great without. She looks great without makeup, and she looks great with makeup. Doesn't matter to me whatsoever, and it honestly feels weird talking about this sort of stuff because, like you said, it's very personal, but I can say that when it comes to makeup, like a little bit goes a long way for my personal taste. Like I both on men and women, like a lot of makeup like just feels like, ugh, guys, come on. Like someone takes a bucket of water and throws it on you. Like I doubt all that's waterproof.
I think of that Simpsons episode where they have that shotgun that shoots. Who was it? Someone.
Oh, Homer's an inventor for like a weekend, and he invents the makeup shotgun.
It's just like a shotgun that shoots like a clown face onto Marge or something.
Oh, it's set to clown. Let me just fix that.
But back. I just wanted to touch once more, like because I was saying that Bo had put his finger on it about it's about how you feel all day when you wear a scent. You're like, because you want to feel good about yourself all day, and makeup's the same. And I just not to go back to what I just said, but I will say I do have personal experience wearing makeup. So as a teenager, I had some bad acne, and I will tell you, when you're a teenager and you feel like anxiety ridden to begin with, and then you have a whole bunch of acne, you don't feel very good about yourself. So I definitely used to wear the like cover-up makeup, and you get this thing. And let's face it, you're not fooling anyone. I'm sure everyone's like, look, oh, that guy's got a lot of acne. But it kind of made a situation that I felt really self-conscious about in high school. I felt like it softened it. But then the interesting, I guess, counterpoint is that I felt self-conscious about wearing the cover-up too, because I'm like, oh, I'm sure people can see the cover-up. But it did help me get through my days, I guess, where I was I had a lot of anxiety at that time and felt like my appearance wasn't helping anything. So the makeup helped me out, and I think that anyone who doesn't feel fully confident, maybe it's a way to make them feel a little better about themselves. And so I think there is a point there.
It's not hard to have empathy for, because we've all seen that person who's like, and well, let's say women, all right, who's wearing too much makeup, And some of us who may not like it may also find some derisive humor in it. But certainly if you're feeling some empathy, like if you've gone through an experience like what Mike's said, or anything like that, where you're doing a thing to help make you feel better in a certain social situation, it's not hard to see that this person maybe has an extreme insecurity about needing to look a certain way, to feel a certain way in social settings, and to not be so harsh on those individuals for that reason. I guess at the very least, I feel like too much makeup is also often associated with, in women, vapidity, and sluttiness and stupid, like all kinds of derisive things as well. But I'm not so sure that isn't a little too harsh. That's just my take on it, though.
Yeah,
Because you're talking about, well, I have a legitimate excuse. I kind of look nasty, so it helped make me feel better because I know I look nasty. But some people who you might say, damn, they're like beautiful. I'm sure I would see them modeling in a Sears catalog or something like that. They probably think they look nasty. You know what I mean? It's not about what you think or what general consensus is. It's about how the person feels about themselves, and this, the standard of beauty that we have, that we put women through, specifically more so than men by a mile. So I think that's, because I don't want us to be the conversation to kind of be like, well, we're dudes and we don't know what we're talking about, because we're like half of the world, and we help make half of it. And I think a certain part of the population, even if female population, even if we were like, well, it's because of societal norms and feminism, and that's why women shouldn't wear makeup, and they have to be, some of them actually just enjoy it. I've spent some time studying theater, and makeup is often used in large hall performances, not even theatrical. It could be singing, it could be concerts. You wear makeup so that people can see you in sharper contrast from farther distances. So there can just be an element of fun associated with makeup, and makeup to look attractive or to feel well put together. So I'm not sure where I'm going with this, other than to say, well, I think that the string from our conversation on, making ourselves smell nice for social situations should be considered as we speak about something we know less about, which is wearing foundation and eyeliner and lipstick and other things. Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there, and both brought up a lot of points. But I think really when you boil down makeup and cosmetics, they come in two real flavors, and one is concealer and one is enhancer. And when we were talking about scents, we talked about wearing deodorant to hide our sort of the way that we smell, so we're trying to conceal that, whereas if you're putting on a little scent that you want to sort of maybe enhance and leave a mark with, that's something different. And it's the same like with Mike talked about the makeup for acne, but any sort of makeup that you would, they call it concealer, the foundation that you put on, and that essentially is there to hide perceived imperfections. And then stuff like, eyelash, enhancement makeup, mascara, lipstick, which is available with like shining and all sorts of different stuff that's meant to maybe enhance natural things or maybe even add things that aren't there. It's kind of done for different purposes. And I definitely do understand the concealing, and I think that Mike made a very, very good point when talking about acne. But there's other, there's people that have had accidents. There's teens for sure that are going through changes, and then there's just people that for whatever reason don't feel, maybe they have lots of blemishes on their skin naturally or what have you, and are looking for a way to feel better about themselves, and that's fine. It's the enhancement stuff for me is the stuff that I find a little bit more I don't want to say distasteful, but it's a reflection of the society that we're in, right? And that these beauty standards have been set, and to reach these beauty standards, it involves different levels of artificiality and that sort of thing. And part of that is this enhancement makeup. So I understand the concealers a little bit more than the enhancers, which I find a little less cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's tough with makeup because you have there's so many uses for makeup. There's a vast array, like you mentioned, like prosthetic makeup. Like, are we even incorporating sort of movie magic into this, where television, where a newscaster has to get the classic, like, oh, let me powder ya, and make sure shine, yeah, and that enhances sort of not just your experience on camera, but the viewer's experience, to be like, oh man, his cheekbones are, I can really tell the definition. I don't know what it does. I just know that
there's that spot
shine.
always when we do the show where my forehead, like you'd be blind if you stared right here. So if I had some foundation,
some foundation on there.
So we just need, and I mean, I have the same way. Like, I have highlights in the office here, and I just haven't like figured it out or whatever. But it's a tool that we often, yeah, you're perfect. It's true. I cannot compete with this. But I think that when it comes to makeup and cosmetics, sometimes it can be considered, a tool of the trade when it comes to sort of making sure someone, looks like they have a big nose when they're playing Richard Nixon, or make sure someone looks like they're missing their lower jawbone in The Walking Dead. It kind of, like, it goes on that aspect as well. I don't know if you guys would consider that in that big loop.
I mean,
you definitely don't buy zombie makeup at Sears in the same well, maybe you do buy zombie makeup at Sears, but you don't buy it in the same like perfume aisle, right? So it goes all over the place.
It being a tool kind of thing is a very interesting point, and that's one that I think is well taken. And often when we discuss these things, there's a little bit of like, oh, you're gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing, because you think of like, oh, people who really, like, I think of my younger days with acne, or people that might have a scar that really makes them feel, and that kind of makeup just to make them get through their days. You're like, oh, don't want to call that bad. But I mean, Bo brought up this point, and Crofton, and I think he's totally right about it. There's those two types, right? And the enhancing one, he was saying, more of a problem with. And I'm sure it's not like Crofton's just like, oh, women wear that and they don't look good or whatever. I'm sure what he was also saying, which Bo also talked about, is it's the larger, it's the cultural thing. It's the fact that we put so much credence and way, as we mentioned, way more pressure on women for this to look a certain way. And then so we were saying like, oh, makeup or perfume might make you feel better about yourself throughout the day when you go through a day, and isn't that good? But is that only the case because we have applied these crazy high standards that everyone should look like a touched up model on the cover of a magazine, and people trying to achieve these things through enhancement makeup to look essentially unreal, and that we're judging each other so much by these superficialities of like, what do you are you, as Donald Trump would say, is she a 10 or are you somewhere else, and is that and so I tie that in, and I'd like to tease apart those like makeup as a tool from this kind of like we've made ourselves in this culture of superficiality where everyone has to look super good, and you can't go at the house looking like that. And then, but I would want to say, but why not? Like, do you have good ideas? Are you an interesting person? Are you a nice person? Like, those are the qualities. And those, you might can't tell that from someone walking down the street. So hopefully they're good looking. Is that what we've sunk into, I guess? And is makeup's a component of this. And I have issues with that. I wish it wasn't like that.
I kind of disagree with you. I think that we have cultural biases, and I think looking good, the whole makeup aspect of feeling good in social situations that aren't, concerts or movie magic or for medical purposes. If you just look like you're a leper and you want to fit in with modern society, so makeup seems like charitable. Like anything beyond what your rational mind would say, like, this is a clear use case for makeup, no question, it's a definite benefit. Everything else is like, it's just because you want to look pretty. And there's always this link, I think, to like energy. Someone who spends energy trying to look good is someone not spending energy on being a substantive person, or a person of substance, rather. All people are substantive because we're made of stardust. But I've been listening to a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson. All right, so the point is, I think what's the name for that? It's a bum argument. There's some kind of special term for like when you take two things and try.
Fallacy? No.
Sure, let's say it's a fallacy. it's not mutually exclusive, but something along those lines. Like the argument against both actually doesn't connect. Just because your experience might be, all the people that I see in the media I consume and know in real life, if they have a tendency to be into makeup, they also have a tendency to, I find them very boring, some of them very dumb, their behavior irritates me. So I had now all these conclusions. Like when we're talking about makeup, right?
That's a tough one. I think, like, I know people who use makeup and use perfume, and they are fascinating, wonderful people. And I don't think it necessarily means if you're using makeup, then you're ultimately like, that's your hobby and you're, just not as interesting. But I think that makeup can be used in a bad way, which leads to experiences like it's the beauty standard that I think if you remove it from the equation, which I know you can't because it's everywhere. If you ever watch the CW, it's like just a walking ad for Sears, or whatever I don't know why we're picking on Sears today. Maybe because they need the advertising. But I think that it's a personal thing, and if you remove the aspect of beauty, some people just, it's nice to put on a little lipstick. It's nice to do the eyes, and this is how much knowledge I have. I know you do the eye thing, the mascara. I know there's like pads or something that you blush or whatever, and then the lipstick. And I'm sure there's many other things.
I think they're called tampons, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
What?
Oh wait, that's something else.
I don't know about that.
I was making a joke. I was making yeah.
Just don't run for president, though.
Yeah. Whatever. I think there's 169 recorded episodes of why none of you should run for prime minister.
Oh, shots fired.
Fair enough.
Hey, there's lots of internet content out there of me. Like, if I ever ran for prime minister,
Bo's mom said I should run for prime minister.
Oh, there's an endorsement right there.
You'd have one vote unless I ran against you.
Yeah, that's one more than you guys.
She endorsed you over her son. What is that?
Yeah. Sorry, Bo.
So, I would just say, like, because Ryan made me think about and Bo about how people are presenting themselves, and I recognize that, like, you could argue to a certain extent that makeup and cosmetics is essentially you lying to the world or to the public, presenting a dishonest facade. And I took a ride with a taxi driver the other day, and you're just trying to it's like going to the hairdressers. You're making conversation, and you just like you want to be polite during the ride, and he's just talking. We ended up talking about the ladies, they wear too much makeup these days and all this. And he's talking, and he's like, I tell you a story, 100% true, this story. And right off I was like, this is probably not a true story. No, and he talked about this guy who like was a friend of his who was dating this woman who whatever, they got married, and the day after the wedding, the morning after the wedding, was the first time he ever saw her without makeup, and he thought that there was an intruder in his house, and then he immediately got a divorce.
What?
And 100% true, Ryan. The taxi driver told me.
Oh, and, I believe all taxi drivers when they tell me that, of course, that's the fare, and I took the direct route.
Yeah, or you trust the ones that tell you they'd be interested in trying to eat other people, which happened to me.
Well, look, but just to put credence to that, because my brother dated, just a little to back up that guy. My brother dated this girl for many years. And he said he never saw her without makeup because she would get up at least an hour and a half before him, and that was her routine in the morning, hour and a half, which involved a lot of makeup, and that was it. He as far as I was aware, had basically never seen her without makeup, and she wouldn't let him see her without makeup. So.
Yeah. I don't
know, 100% true. But stuff like that.
Well, I have an opinion. Like, don't confound a sick person with the substance that they're using to engage to propagate their sickness, right?
No, that's you guys are getting you're going down a rabbit hole of like extremes here. But I'm saying the original question I'm bringing up is like, is just the act of wearing makeup, presenting yourself in a way that you are not is to the world, is that in itself an act of dishonesty?
No.
That's what I want
to let everyone answer, but my answer is no.
It's not, right? Because
why not?
I think when you say that about someone who has a tattoo and like they have like a sleeve tattoo, it's like, oh well,
That's
You
not
are
your
actually
epidermis. That's a
You're
picture
not,
of.
yeah, you don't have a giant tiger breathing fire on a roll mat or whatever. Like that you weren't born with that. And I think there's like we talk about the extremes of like people getting up early, an hour and a half to apply makeup. Like honestly, in my experience with Ashley putting makeup on, I mean, I'm usually the one making us late because she just puts on the basic stuff like a little lipstick, and I'm not gonna go through that embarrassing. What is this? And and
Hi, Ashley.
Like
she's in the other room. I can bring her in and be like, okay, how does makeup work? I
like
think
because like anyone who's wearing makeup, it's not exactly like you're like, I can't tell if they're not wearing makeup. I feel deceived. Like that story that the cab driver told is like some sexist BS.
Well,
and
but again, and I'm not trying to say that he's true, but I saw this.
but
little
she's
Facebook.
wearing makeup. Like maybe
Look,
you're
yeah,
like,
you
I
know she's
didn't
wearing-
expect you to look like that without the makeup
Yeah,
on.
but-
But you
okay,
know,
but
you can
Bo-
say, please let me see you without makeup before I marry you.
Let me just. Okay, so you can find these things on the internet, which are like makeup artists who do these like transformations, and they'll show these videos of someone like, they'll show this picture of the made up person, and then they'll show like this reverse clip of them undoing the makeup, and some of it is pretty amazingly different, where you're like the person with no makeup. At the end you think, okay, I'm looking at like a supermodel or whatever, and then once the makeup's all removed, you're like, oh, she just looks like anyone I might see on a bus or on the street. Like pretty amazingly different. And if you were that good at makeup and you did it all the time, and then you married someone, and then you woke up the next morning and they looked quite different, I think there is a little bit of disingenuousness there, where it's like you're not, you're like, oh, I didn't know that's what I was getting. I mean, I like the fact that my wife doesn't wear makeup. There's certainly no surprises. I mean, of like, oh, all of a sudden it was like completely different or whatever. But
there's a difference between
I don't
a
know. I
person
think there
being
is a bit of
dishonest.
it there.
There's a difference between a person being dishonest and then saying everyone who uses this item is just dishonest by default. That's my answer to the question.
I'm just saying, is there an act? Is it in itself somewhat of a little bit of a dishonest act? And just going to Ryan's tattoo example, because that made me think of something. Because the difference between a tattoo and makeup, most makeup, is that a tattoo is permanent, right? Whereas makeup is like you put on and you take off. So it's like putting on a mask or taking off a mask. However, there is permanent makeup. Like there are like people can go and get permanent makeup. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of this, but like the thought of it really not only grosses me out, kind of disturbs me. The idea that they get this permanent makeup and it never comes out. And so I think to myself, if I'm disturbed by the fact that they can't take this stuff off, or that it's permanently part of them, then why am I even like liking it or endorsing it to begin with? Because like, why is the temporary stuff all right, but the permanent stuff, that's gross and disturbing, at least for me. It makes me question the whole thing.
Well, and then the slope continues on down to cosmetic surgery, and we've talked about like permanent body enhancements, which when we've talked about cosmetic surgery are literal changes, but permanent eyeliner is, I mean, fundamentally a change to your appearance. It's not surgery, but it's in that same vein. And we've been pretty decisive about cutting off like the whole movie magic type of makeup, theatrical, all that cosplaying, which I'm a big fan of. I think that's great. Involves a ton of makeup, and that's for fun, and that's really cool. And in fact, I know Ryan, your partner in crime over on The Gamers Inn, Jocelyn Moffat, who's a pretty fabulous person, does her Get Nailed thing on Twitch, which is painting her nails, and she's really into it. That stuff's all for fun and all cool. Like I don't see how that's a different creative endeavor in any capacity than anything else. I think when we talk about makeup as in like I'm going to work today and I'm putting on makeup, or I'm going on a date, we're talking about dress codes. We're talking about social norms and what, and gender roles. And that's what we're having. If we have a problem with something, with the act of makeup being deceitful, or the act of inequity between the sexes because one has to paint themselves up to feel normal and the other one can just roll out of bed and spray a bit of Axe in his pants and be good. Those are social iniquities. Those are not to be laying at necessarily the feet of makeup. Now we can talk about the horse shit that makeup companies go through to make some of their products, because I think that's a giant pit.
Well, and beyond that, the marketing of it, the selling of the look that they're trying to sell you.
Right, which
Yeah,
we can get
marketing companies aren't
into.
innocent
But I'm
here.
saying the
Yeah.
makeup itself, because is it deceitful? Like the products themselves, outside of your case use scenario, I think they're fairly benign and fairly cool. And if you want to have fun with them, do what you want with them, and change your body with them, like I think that's great. There is
if we're strictly talking about products.
There is a beauty machine that cosmetics are part of, though, and I think that's where maybe we're going to start picking at problems with our
But
social.
Bo, you just went through a bunch of things and are like, this is the really important things where you're like, is it fair that one entire sex has to, wear this to conform to beauty standards or whatever?
That's not a problem with
we
makeup.
can't ignore those things.
I'm not saying we
like,
ignore it. I'm just saying that's not the fault of makeup. The idea of cosmetics, that's not. I think it's benign. I think it's okay that we use them. I think we're talking about our.
I disagree. I mean, like those two are intrinsically linked. Like makeup exists because of these standards, right? I mean, there are different ways. I don't want to take away from the cosplaying or the cosmetic. The role playing element of it, the disguise, doing a Halloween costume and painting your face for me is not the same thing as a daily makeup ritual to make yourself feel prettier. Like they're different things. Yes, they use the same products, and I understand what you're saying about products. Like they're tools in a way that you can use them for different things. I could take lipstick and write a bloody message on the wall if I wanted to, make somebody think it was a serial killer. But the main intention of them is to beautify yourself alongside societal norms. If that stuff didn't exist, maybe the norms would be less stringent, right?
Sure, and I think that I'm alluding to that point is that we're talking about cosmetics and makeup. It's I think it's still very large, and I think personally my opinion is that it's okay, but I think that there are gender inequities or that do result in pushing standards of beauty, which sells beauty products, which are perhaps unnecessary to go to the office meeting if you're a woman to try and look good or to do that. But at the same time, you will talk to women who enjoy putting on makeup, who think nothing of it, who enjoy it. So who am I to say, the male patriarch, to be like, lipstick is part of the big capitalist machine and gender holding you down, and they're just like, fuck you, like let me wear the thing. Anyways,
I have kind of I've been trying to because there's part of this when I think about it that I really think a lot of this is this societal overlay of expectations and beauty standards, which I think can cause insecurity, and then the cosmetic industry comes in with like, oh, we have a solution for you. Here's all these cosmetics, and that's like that irks me. That makes me think that's bad. Okay, we shouldn't be actively trying to make people feel ugly and then selling them the solution to their ugliness. That's one thing where I'm like, I'm almost like 100%. I'd be like, that's bad. So I feel like there are for sure a segment of people who that's what is happening. They've been led to believe they're not beautiful or not good enough who they are, and then they're trying to change that to meet a societal norm. And I'd be like, that's a problem, and I would lump cosmetics as being part of the problem. But the other angle that I have, and this is why it's more difficult, is that there are also a segment of people who just in their own skin, aside from societal overlays, do not feel as they are, like they are. And I think of people who are transgendered people are dealing with other kinds of identity issues or crises, and that maybe something like makeup is just a way that some person who just doesn't feel right in their own skin can help them gain that confidence to feel more like who they are. So it's like I feel like half of this stuff comes from inside a person and really like I'm just trying to feel like myself, and half of it comes from this external bullshit. And I'm like, it's pulling at my head, because one of them I'm like, okay, that's great. Like if really you feel like you're having an identity crisis and something like cosmetics can help you look more like who you feel you are, I'm like, that's great. I would never tell someone they shouldn't do that. And it's like if someone else is feeling bad because I don't look like the cover of a magazine and that's been put on you, I think that's a pile of shit and it's bad. Right. But those are wholly different things, you know?
Well, it sounds like we're getting into verdicts. So
it's leading me towards where I'm going to land,
I think it's verdict time, to be honest with you. I'm going to open up the floor for our guest, Ryan, to have any closing thoughts, any burning things you want to say or you want Ashley wants you to say through you if she happens to be listening to you, fumble your
Ryan,
way through.
before you go, just
go.
save some juice for your verdict. Remember, you're gonna have to soliloquy right after this, so don't
I
blow
know.
everything at once.
But just any
All right.
closing thoughts? The
Yeah,
floor is
like
yours.
closing thoughts. Like I did, I texted Ashley just like, "Hey, you want to pop in and talk about makeup?" And her answer was, "I don't wear much makeup." So I think when it comes to makeup, I always look at makeup as a personal decision. It's been years since I've sort of been, and I think I've gotten out of this sort of that we talk about the beauty norm. Like I don't want to sound like pretentious or anything, but I don't really sort of have that in front of me anymore because I don't read magazines. I don't see much advertisement. I have TiVo, so I fast forward through all the commercials. I watch Netflix. I just don't. The only time I see like that sort of like beauty norm is when, unfortunately, I'm watching something on the CW or something like where it's like everyone's pretty, but that's TV. So I kind of like it's fine. And I know, again, personally, it doesn't affect me, but there are people out there that see this sort of makeup thing and the TV thing, and it affects their decisions, and that's their choice. And I think that we can all sort of kind of move in a direction that makes this world a better place, so people don't feel like they have to look a certain way. But I don't think makeup certainly becomes this terrible thing just because certain people want to use it in a light that sort of damns other folks in terms of using it. Like I think makeup can be used as a I feel like spending the 15 minutes in the morning to get ready and put some lipstick on and do a little bit of other stuff. Like it doesn't always have to take a couple hours, is my understanding. Like you can wear makeup and still just kind of like spend. Like I said, I am the last person to get ready in this house, especially like even when we're getting ready for like a wedding or something. Like Ashley's got all her makeup on, she's ready to go, and I'm still trying to find where are my pants. You know,
Right.
all I had to do was put pants on.
So what you're saying
Can't
is,
find my
if
pants.
the topic was dragging our asses in the morning that came out of the random topic generator, you'd be very well versed in this subject.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But no, I think, yeah, in terms of closing thoughts, I think this idea of cosmetics, if we're looking straight at just talking about beauty products, then it's very tough because it's a very personal thing. And Bo's right. Like, TV marketing doesn't make it easy for it to be a personal thing, but really like for example, I have a son, Caden. We're looking to have more children. If I have a daughter, this is probably the way I'll look at makeup is basically it's a personal thing. A little bit goes a long way, and it's you don't have to necessarily look like this person on the CW. Because we'll probably watch the CW because there's some quality programming on there. But
What is
they're
the
paying
CW?
you, aren't you,
I have
Mark?
no clue what you're talking
the
about.
CW is like Supergirl and Arrow. The only shows I watch on CW.
None of us have only
See,
Crofted as cable. Do you?
no.
CW? I don't even.
It used to be the WB network and all that.
Oh, yeah.
No?
I'm out of touch.
Way back. Hodgins, you're out of touch. Hey, speaking of out of touch, we should get rolling with the verdicts and
All right.
start with
I'll
Bo.
bring in
Once the
I'm going to bring
jury
in the jury.
rolls through.
The jury of farm animals are coming in here right now. There's Bill. There's Ted.
Bo probably needs the axe spray because of that farm animals he lives with.
All right.
The smell is like bad.
I said, order in the court.
Order in the court. All right. So it's time for verdicts, and this is kind of exciting. Who wants? Michael, I think you need to go first today.
No,
I
I
will.
already told you. I'm hosting and Bo's going first.
You don't
and
get
then
to
Mike.
decide.
It
who
doesn't make
goes
you
before.
elector in chief.
I'll go first.
Well-
I'm ready to go first.
All right, let's do it.
All right, fine. Go first.
Okay, so talking about I feel like the difficulty with this thing is it's fraught with judgment. I really feel like cosmetics is. It's like, you judge someone because they wear too much makeup. You judge someone because maybe they don't look good. You think they should wear makeup. And I realize like I have a backwards bias towards makeup. I was thinking about, we've mentioned before on our national news show on the CBC. There's this panel of pundits, and there's this one woman named Chantal Hébert. Crofton, you know who I'm talking about. And she does not wear makeup. This is a woman, and I think, and then there's often this other woman from the Huffington Post who's slathered in makeup. And I judge them reversely. I think I'm like Chantal Levert. I think of as like a brilliant woman who knows her shit. She's confident. She didn't need to wear makeup. And I'm judging this other woman for wearing makeup. And I realize that's a pile of crap too, because I'm like, she's also very smart. But I think of her as like, oh, less confident. That's why she has to put all this stuff on it. So like I'm kind of an anti-makeup person, and I'm caught up in the bullshit of judgment around it, and it drives me kind of bonkers. And then having talked about it and seeing where there are clearly positives where it's used as a tool, or where it's just used for personally, you're not being influenced by all these negative societal overlays, and it still just helps you feel more like yourself. That's a good thing. So taking all of it together, the natural verdict for me on this one is clearly bullshit, and that's what cosmetics and makeup are. A big pile of bullshit.
All right, well, you heard it
But
here.
not even the perfume could cover up the scent of that.
Okay, so Crofton, I assume you want me to go first. You have the look of someone who wants to go after me.
Yeah, I definitely.
I know
do,
that
bro.
look. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and keep it as short as I can, which means this is going to last an hour. But seriously, I think I've said all I had to say on the subject of makeup. I think it is definitely conflated with standards of beauty and the kinds of body shaming that we do towards women. And I think there's a problem there that needs to be resolved. I think Mike said it better than I could say about feeling conflicted and feeling those biases about it. So I'm just going to say very generally, I think when a woman puts on makeup, it doesn't make them more attractive, but it makes them attractive. I like it. And I like them without. So I don't have a need either way. So I actually feel quite positive about this. And I think I don't judge someone based on the amount of makeup that they wear, actually. You listen to a person talk and maybe you start forming opinions about who they are, but definitely not the makeup thing. I find it can be attractive. I find it a bit of a shame that guys are so insecure that like the idea of putting, lipstick on or changing our culture so that dudes can't still feel like they belong to their gender and still wear makeup. Why not? Like, what is up with that? By the way, we didn't talk all episode. Maybe I'd like to wear makeup, but I feel too much social pressure for my manhood and my masculine identity that I can't. So, and then, in terms of cosplaying and in terms of all the fun stuff, if you want to be a goth, like all that cool stuff that you do with your makeup when you're part of a group like that, that's cool too. So I have to just say that I think, everyone should wear makeup if they feel like it. And I don't think it makes them any worse or less of a person, unless they're dressing up as a clown right now, which apparently that's a really bad thing to be doing because, we can talk about symbolism, but you can use makeup to do all that stuff. Again, conflating other ideas with the idea of makeup and cosmetics, spelling nice, looking nice, making yourself feel more like the person you are through the use of these products is good. All right, and that is what I have to say about that. We could talk about the cosmetic industry sometime because a lot of animals died. But
Well, we are talking about, that's what we drew, was cosmetics.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the products. I'm not talking about the industry practices, unless we could.
But I mean, that rolls in with this topic, and I look to both you and Mike, who spent a lot of your verdicts talking about people and judging people one way or another way, being attracted to people one way or another way. I definitely I'm first to admit that I'm warped by societal standards, and that like if somebody's wearing makeup nicely and it's enhancing things and I think it looks nice. Like I'm totally I'm not like, oh, makeup is disgusting, even though I find that permanent makeup kind of gross. So I'm not being super hypocritical in where I'm going to go next with my verdict, which is I've said a lot of negative things about makeup on this show in the past. One of the trope arguments I use is, if you removed something from the world, would it make that world a better place, a worse place, or pretty much the same? I think if you took away all makeup from the world, it would make the world a slightly better place. And the reason I think that is, I think that the big companies that the deal in cosmetics have been known to do like animal testing, and that's gotten better. Testing on all sorts of, kids I've heard about before. Like there's the whole sexual inequality where women are expected to wear X amount of makeup and men are not. We talked about that. I mentioned the sort of dishonesty in the way that you portray yourself. That's not as much a big deal, but there is something about it enabling people, like you could say it allows you to be more confident, or I'd say more accurately, it allows you to hide uncomfortability with yourself. So like, I mean, to build that confidence, you have to be yourself to a certain extent. And I do understand the hiding of acne and all those sort of things, but I don't think there's enough positive there to give a pass to all of cosmetics. And then there's the little things like the smell stuff gives people headaches. There are signs that say don't wear them. There's toxic ingredients in a lot of these things that are making people sick. Like, I mean, there's enough negative in there that the small elements of positive, and I'm even including stuff like the cosplaying or the Halloween costumes, are really, that's very little positive to make up for all the negative. So I am going to have to say that cosmetics are bad.
Well, all right. 3
And-
verdicts down, 1 to go. Ryan, you're here to decide it
Oh,
all for us.
It's always tough going last on this stuff, but when it comes to cosmetics, I think, when you look at the product as a product, cosmetics, makeup is something that is if you just look at the product, like it's still this personal decision. It should be a personal decision as to what you do. Like, and you can't just throw the industry under the bus. Yeah, every industry is terrible when it comes to selling products, because the best way to sell products is to shame people into buying products. It's like, oh, you're going to want a Sega Genesis because it's better than the Super Nintendo. Like, they've been doing it for years. So I've always been of the opinion that, when it comes to any product, you have to make the decision for yourself, and you should always normally avoid all marketing because it's usually pretty bad. So when we're talking about products, cosmetics, makeup, prosthetics, stuff like that, there's a lot of good there. And we talk about judgment. Yeah, there's judgment out there, but again, that's a personal thing. Like, you just have to choose to be a better person and not judge people when they're trying to when they put on a little too much makeup or not enough makeup or whatever. It's a personal decision, and you should be a better person not to kind of judge people. And I see where Bo's coming from, where sometimes it's just you can't help yourself, but like, human beings are judgmental. It's just whether or not you act on it or you do something terrible with that judgment, like a lot of people are doing in the news these days. But yeah, in terms of makeup and cosmetics, I think as a personal decision, makeup is good.
Yeah, Team
Well-
Bo strikes again.
I would just feel so terrible about throwing people under the bus, because I know people who like to wear this stuff, like to wear makeup, even on special occasions, just to feel, not even to feel something, just to like, I'm going to a special occasion, let's gussy up. And like, I don't wear a tie every day, only for special occasions. I would consider that sort of an added thing,
And
Refer
that's
to our
fair.
dress code episode for more conversation in
Yeah.
that ilk.
That's fair. That's fair enough. I just was trying to move away from people and judging people and talk about the actual, the actual thing and where it falls. That's why my negative feelings were more on how it is negative influence, not the people that choose to wear it. Because, like, as I said, I find those people often look really great wearing makeup. If you have opinions on makeup, we would love to hear them. Makeup, cosmetics, scents, anything. So you can reach us at goodbadbull@gmail.com. Any other topics you want us to discuss, we would love to discuss on the show. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play. We're on there. Give us some great reviews, 5 stars preferably. You can add little comments. Crofton, so good. Others, not so good. That sort of stuff.
Wow.
You can, yeah, You can, and of course, we have patrons, and I would like to thank them. We all would, and they allow us to do this, and we really appreciate it. If you want to be a patron, you can go to patreon.com/goodbadbull. Every little bit helps, and
I'd
we
like
do,
to point out Ryan himself is also a patron, and his opinions are really good.
That's true, Ryan.
I highly recommend it.
So we'd like to thank him.
Patreon.com/URL, he said.
Thanks,
Now,
Ryan.
Speaking of Ryan, before I get into us less noteworthy peeps, let's have Ryan plug everything that he's doing, because this is the plugging time. Ryan, please plug away.
All right. Well, I will make it short and sweet. Twitter @rmurphy, website ryanmurphy.ca, where you'll find all my projects. Podcasting. There's the Gamers In that I do with Jocelyn each week, where we talk about video games. Zombies Ate My Podcast, where I am joined by Lou and Bob, where we talk about The Walking Dead. Negan, he's here, he's coming, he's going to hit someone with a bat. Let's talk about it. Zombies8mypodcast.com. And finally, Sleeping with the Elephant, where I bring in lovely guests like you three to talk about Canadian and American culture. And that's a show that I enjoy doing. I wish I could do more, and I'm hoping we can find a way to get you guys back on sooner rather than later. But yeah, that's pretty much Ryan Murphy.
Also,
online.
He's looking for an American co-host, I believe. I still think there's a job opening there. If you are an American listener and a podcaster.
we the last few episodes we've had Canadians on, and I have lined up a few more guests, but they're all Canadian. I'm like, all right, I should probably like bookend these and get some, because this is the issue, right? Most of my friends that are podcasters hate Trump, and no one wants to talk about Trump anymore when you're an American, because you're might have to live with that for 4 years. So if you're a Trump supporter, maybe that'd be something interesting to talk about, but it'd probably be a short podcast. I am looking for American listeners that would love to chime in. I probably just need to do better work in finding hosts, because I've just been so busy.
You
lately.
do great work. You're too hard on yourself, Ryan.
And the other thing, Ryan, I just want to give you an opportunity, because I noticed you've been getting involved in some sort of charity, and
Right.
This would be maybe a good time to shout it out, huh?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. So October is a month where we do this charity called Extra Life, which is 24 hours of gaming in support of a local hospital. So I support Sick Kids Foundation, which is out of Toronto. But depending on who you support for Extra Life, there are hundreds of hospitals across the world through the Children's Miracle Network. And personally playing for sick kids, you can go to extra-life.org/participant/Ryan Murphy to donate. We're going to be doing a huge amount of gaming on October 29th, probably starting in the morning. You'll be able to catch that all live, twitch.tv/amovetv. And by donating, you'll be able to affect what games we play, and just have general fun, and know that through gaming, we are helping kids. And like, who needs to run a long time for a charity? Let's just play some games, let's have some fun. And
Who needs to do exercise?
That's one
for
way to
that?
look at it.
well, the other thing I've always said is, like, 24 hours of anything is bad. Like, you're not gonna have fun doing anything for 24 hours.
I don't know. I think Sting might have a word or two with you with respect to
Sting?
tantric sex.
Oh well, see that's the other thing. I think 24 hours of that would probably kill you.
It's too much. I agree. It's too much.
But yeah,
Too much.
How
Even
could you have
Sting
too
would be
much?
like,
It feels
"Oh."
good. Don't you want to?
I don't think he
24 hours
wrote that
straight?
song based on experience. He probably just thought, it'd be great. I could just talk about sex for 24 hours. I don't know if he actually sounds like.
No,
that.
he's into that with his partner.
pretty
Tantric
good
sex,
thing.
he's
but
pretty
it's not
vocal
24 hours.
about it.
Okay, we're getting off topic. Let's
Yeah.
wrap
Wait,
this.
yeah, whoa. I
Extra
wrap up.
life. It's gonna be
So-
great.
Extra Life, Ryan. Thank you, Human Torch. So, the thing, where can people reach you?
All right, you can find me at Bo Schwartz on Twitter. New core episode probably up, and I'll be appearing on Heroes Radio if all goes as well. So that should be on their feed. I don't think they have a site, but I'll retweet it. So follow me at Bo Schwartz for all the good stuff there. Thanks.
Invisible Woman, Mike Hodgins.
Oh
does
yeah,
the
you
Invisible
can follow
Woman wear
my,
makeup?
Invisible tweets at ML Hodgins, and I'm also doing a charity. I'm going to be going about my daily activities for the next 24 hours straight. So if you want to donate towards me, see that's a cop out thing.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
do my
sorry.
daily activities for 24 hours straight.
And you can
We're
follow
doing real
me.
good.
No, you're a better man than I, Ryan. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
And you can follow me at Crofton Steers on Twitter, where, the hockey season is starting. So I apologize to those of you who follow me for other reasons, because I may start tweeting about crazy hockey stuff. But hey, whatevs. I'm a Canadian. What can I do? Players got to play.
All right, then.
was
Nailed
like,
it.
your-
Real
Your
good.
episode on stereotypes, Crofton.
Yeah, it's true.
Huh? Did we do an episode on stereotypes?
Yeah, it was an interesting one.
Really?
And you're like,
Man,
I'm a
we've done
Canadian,
lot-
therefore I like hockey. And I'm like, shut up, I'm Canadian, and I don't like hockey.
Well, we've done a lot of episodes on a lot of things. I can't expect to remember all of them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mike and I, the other day, were in a museum, and just because that's where you take your kids nowadays. And Mike Mike says to me, it was like you said on that episode we did on, what was it, Mike?
Scooters.
Scooters. I'm like, we did not
We
do
didn't
an
do an
episode
episode on
And then
We
went
should,
back,
though.
we went back and forth. He's like, yes, we did. And I'm like, no, we didn't. Turns out we did not do an episode
Yeah,
on
we
Scooters,
did
so
not.
Suck it, Mike.
It was just another one of, because Croft and I have so many arguments about random things, and he was wrong about scooters, as he's often wrong on this show. And so I just remember the argument. It seems so much like the show. But yeah, we should put scooters in the random topic
Considering
generator.
we've done an episode on a topic as benign as general lighting, I think we can do scooters.
General lighting. Ooh.
Scooters and motorcycles.
It's terrible,
we could put
isn't it,
into
Ryan?
one.
Believe it or not, that was our most contentious topic we've ever done, and I'm not
You guys just
rehashing it.
fought.
If
Like,
you're listening
you did
and
do a
curious,
podcast for a month after, because it's just like, Bo was just a huge fan of lighting
we have
the
a.
entire room.
General
Well, it's about it.
Put a lamp on, goddamn.
We have a good
Spiral
friend.
versus bulb.
We have
Where
a
do you stand?
Good friend of the show, Al, who listens and is generally always positive and supportive of our shows, even when they're kind of circling the drain a bit. And he actually did like that one. He was like,
Oh no.
oh my god, it was Anyways, but that's what the show's about. It's off the chain. It's off the cuff. Thank you so much, Ryan, for being here.
Oh,
by the way,
Yeah,
Thanks
Ryan,
for having
much
me.
We
appreciated.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Come again.
it's a lot of
And
fun putting a new.
I'm
person
serious.
in
When
this.
I'm in town, I'll bring the recorder and we will record something.
Live.
Yeah, I will.
We'll have
will be
the
anonymous.
thing for podcasters to do now is to have your own conventions, right? I mean, Scott does Frog Pants. I think
We need a Canadian one.
A-Move
'cause now that
TV
Dawson's
has
in
Creek-Con.
Toronto, it's like no brainer.
right. So we need
What's this recorder?
Oh,
What
I
is
have
it?
it. It's like a. Let's see. If I...
Is it like? Is it just a tape recorder? No, I mean.
No,
like,
it's. I bought it for a wedding, and because I was podcasting, and it's just this little thing here. Turn it
Right.
on, set it in the middle. Like I used it for just randomly recording people at our wedding because I was that annoying. But I'm the groom, so I'm allowed to be annoying. But I needed to record.
What do you think
I
of my
needed to
wedding?
Record the sound mix. Sorry, what was that?
We were like, "What do you think of my wedding? Like, just enjoy your wedding, dude." You're like, no.
Honestly, you want to honestly?
Yeah, no, I was really just using it as like an excuse to not have to bring like the laptop and the microphone, and it has some quality. You know, you wouldn't want to do an hour and a half show, but like a half hour like would be good. And I used it at Nertacular. I would bring it in. I did a little segment with Terpster and with Patrick for Sleeping with the Elephant, and it just works really well. And honestly, I'm just looking for more excuses to use it.
No, that's
So-
great because I thought that Bo had said that we were limited by audio because of the mics would each pick up each other. But if we can just do it all off one device on a table, I mean, for hell.
Well, that's the thing is like you
Uh,
wouldn't be able to split out the tracks. It has like an ability, like there's two mics you can do. It records both sides. You set it in the middle of the table. Like by no means are you gonna have the same quality that you have by recording via Skype or a professional like mixed four mic system. But in terms of a one-off, like, and that's the other thing too. I've found I've used it less and less because when I'm seeing my podcast friends or my people I know through the internet, like the last thing you want to do is like, okay, this is the first time we met, or this is the second time, or whatever. We see each other like every couple of years. Let's sit down and record a podcast, which is something we do each week. So there's that balance there. And I know, like, I went to Boston and met up with my co-host on Zombies Ate My Podcast, and it was like, oh, we should record something. So we recorded like a quick 5-minute thing after dinner, and that was it. It contributed to an episode as like just a little bonus thing.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, we have the option, but honestly, if we just wanted to sit and hang out, like that's fine as well.
Yeah, either way.
I have no idea where I'm gonna be. Let me look it up. I think it's at a
Like
hotel.
downtown.
One of you
Ottawa's
guys
a
couldn't make a
smaller city
hilarious
than you would
joke.
think, Ryan. We don't live in the suburbs, any of us. So we're in the city Center fairly close. So
So it's the Westin, Ottawa.
Yeah,
wow,
it's like
ooh
downtown.
la la.
That's where the I don't know if they'll put me up there, but that's where the tourism summit is.
Oh, it must be in the conference center.
Yeah, probably.
You should Google it. It's this giant glass.
Isn't it called the
massive thing.
Shaw Center now?
Is it? Fuck that.
No, it's
All right.
Well, Google's.
Okay, so I gotta find a place to end that because
Oh, yeah.
we're just
Bye,
making
bye.
travel
Oh, we're still going?
arrangements on the show now.
I
well,
assume we
well done.
ended a long time ago.
Yeah. It's just a live
You
stream,
always
I
assume
guess.
that, but it's gonna. I like to find a nice punch point to end, and
I know, but
think
we make you earn your pay.
There's one in there
you
somewhere.
right hard turn. Okay, so VOD viewers, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week.
No one's tuned in.
I forgot about that.
Like
Yeah, but
we
they
have
can
the
watch it
same
later on
conversation
YouTube.
at the end. Can I just say bye and have you guys not say
No.
something?
I will always say
right.
no one's listening.
I'm turning it off. Bye.